2025. I'm already like pretty far into this, right? And it is just the first month through, and I'm already pretty far into this. Here's the quote I love. It's rarely to do with external strategy and more to do with internal mastery. So when we talk about Jim Rohn saying, rarely does a man's income exceed his level of personal development. Rarely does a man's income exceed his level of personal development. So many times it is trained in our brain that we've got to go chase the money. We got to go find it. We got to go chase it. That's just simply not the case. So capital partners, you guys have people that believe in you to lend you money. What that means is you didn't go find the money. What you did is you're becoming someone that someone trusts you enough to lend you money. So instead of chasing money, that chase is an endless chase. It's going to go on forever. Why not just become someone better and watch money chase you? People always love to hang out with winners. So let's just become a winner. And winning doesn't mean I make $1 million. Winning is I know the blueprint how to make $1 million. That blueprint is personal development. That's where you need to be working. So it's rarely does it work where everyone's like, external strategy. What's the next marketing channel? What's this that's going to pop out this lead? Like, what is the marketing channel that gives me the hottest leads? There isn't one. There isn't one. Like, but what I can tell you is if you will work on yourself and be the master of yourself, watch what happens. Every lead works because people want to do business with people they love, like, and trust. A lead doesn't fix that. If you're someone that you can't love, like, and trust, and you don't love, like, and trust yourself, it doesn't matter how hot the lead is. You're not closing it. Like, period, the end. So your external empire, the stuff that you see is just a reflection of what's going on internally. So if you don't like what's happening externally, instead of blaming your marketing channel or your PPC provider or your direct mail provider, have the courage, have the leadership to look in the mirror and realize you're the problem. You're the bottleneck. It's you. Once you become better, life not coincidentally, becomes better as well.
I love that. That's so true, though. And is that like something you've seen over the 3,500 different students that you've taught? Is that what separates the ones who make it and the ones who don't? Or is there a little bit extra to it as well?
Yeah, because there's that first stage, right? Because you could have someone that is very driven, that drives up to 6 figures, they do it, but they haven't worked on themselves. They're very egotistical. They're very prideful. So to get from the 6 figure to the 7 figure, now we're talking, you got to surround yourself with an awesome team. Well, you don't go and everyone's like, oh, you got to hire A players. Okay, let's really break that down. Like, what's the truth behind that? You don't hire A players. And if you do find an A player and you hire them and they leave, like, you can't keep an A player unless you're an A leader. So what you have to do is become the A leader. Darren Hardy has a fantastic book. In fact, it's one of the first books I ever read when it came to personal development. It's called The Compound Effect. When you read this book, he talks about this document that he wrote on finding his wife. And he wrote this, my wife's going to look like this. She's going to love this. This is going to be her hobby. This is how tall she's going to be. This is the color of her hair, color of her eyes, and wrote this massive document. And then he goes to a Jim Rohn seminar, and Jim Rohn's like, you can have everything you want as long as you become the person worthy of the thing that you're seeking. And he's like, oh my gosh, I did this wrong. Who would a person of this caliber want in a husband? And he wrote this document. He says she would be looking for a husband that's going to be doing this, doing this, doing this, doing this, doing this, doing this. Now that he had the list, he went to work and he became that person. And within a couple years of working on this list, he attracted the wife that was in his original document. But it came after he did the work, not I'm going to seek you. Because had he found her back when he was the person before he did the work, she wouldn't have married him. She wouldn't have wanted him. He had to become the person that was worthy of a person of this caliber. That's where most people get it wrong. They just want to think, oh, we just got to spend more money on marketing. It's going to change my whole business. No, it's not. Or, hey, now that I do 6 figures, all I got to do is get a couple A players and I'm ready to go to 1 million. Well, if you're a C leader, you're not going to keep A players long. C leaders attract C players. So whenever we have to hire someone, you're like, oh, that person sucked. I hear this all the time, guys. Oh, that person, I'd let them go. They sucked. I'm like, okay. And then they hire again. They're like, oh, that person sucked too. I'm like, do we see a common thread here yet? Like, everyone you hire sucks. Like, look in the mirror. You're attracting C talent. Like, oh, they're a C talent at best. I'm like, this one's going to hurt. I'm going to throw some salt on you real quick. I'm going to cut you open, throw some salt right now. Like, you're a C leader and you're attracting C players. But as you become an A player, you attract A talent, you'll grow a big empire, amazing empire. So that's the biggest secret to go from 6 figures to 7 figures is you're going to have to learn how to delegate. You're going to have to learn how to lead others to help build the empire. And that comes from you becoming a leader, you always working on yourself. So I call it the power hour. I spend 1 hour every day on personal development, making sure that I'm always becoming someone better. When I do that, I simply attract better stuff in my life each and every time.
That's been so huge for us. We have implemented every day in the very start of our day. We plan, we manifest, we make sure we do personal development, because if you're getting 1% better every day, imagine what you're going to look like in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years, you know? And so I know that this has been an amazing journey for you, from being that kid selling insurance until the man before us today. I want to ask you, what's one deal or maybe one business move that you made that completely changed your financial future outside of getting out of insurance and into wholesaling?
Yeah, I look at wholesaling as like the fast money, meaning you can go in and 39 days later pull out a contract that pays you $24,000. But it's not the long-term money. That starts at zero every single month. You start over, and you gotta go find the next deal. And so there was one thing that happened a lot. Like, so when I co-founded Wholesaling Inc. with Tom Kroll, we took this to a level where we were doing like about $6.5–7 million in coaching revenue each and every year. And it was a high profitable margin because it doesn't take a whole lot to do that, because we were the people. So we were the ones doing the calls, doing the coaching, and we had income coming in. And sometimes you're like, this is like a gift. I don't know if I deserve this. Like, this is a great amount of money. But nonetheless, one thing that we did, we were great stewards of the money. We paid off our mortgage, even though most people tell you, why would you pay off your mortgage? Like, it's 2.5 at that time, 2.5%. Like, that's nothing. Now you just locked up all your money. Guys, there's something special about being debt free. There's something special when, like, oh, you're only saving, what's your mortgage payment? $2,500. Like, does $2,500 really change your life? It does. Like, absolutely does. Not because it's $2,500, other than it's just I'm being a great steward, and I feel like I'm my perception of the right opportunity presented itself. So here's, I guess, the switch I wanted to make. It's not just any one business as much as, what are you doing with the money coming in? This has been the game changer. When we had very little money, guys, I share this not for accolades, not for boasting, but real life experience. We were broke, and we were walking to the park. My parents would come over and watch our kids, and they thought we were going out to dinner. We didn't have money to go out to dinner, guys. We would drive down the street, and we would park about a mile away from our house so that we didn't have to waste any more gas in our car. And it happened to be the park, and we'd get out and we'd just hold hands and we'd go walk the park, and we'd just go out and dream. And one of the things we did is we actually said a prayer. We said, God, when we win, it's not just going to be to bless our family, it's going to bless other families. And we want to commit to this. Like, we want to show you that we're going to do this. Well, coincidentally, it came in at a very uncomfortable hour. 3 days later, her brother was going to serve a mission for the church, and their parents were going through bankruptcy, and they had no more money, and he still needed a bike. And so I just sat there. I looked at our bank account. We had $600, and a bike that he needed was $500. And guys, it was so uncomfortable. We were broke. And I looked at Wendy. I said, do you think this is a coincidence? We said a prayer that we would help someone, and here's our opportunity. We have the money. We don't have much, but we have enough. Like, let's do it. So we bought the bike. We're down to $100 in our bank account. 2 days later, I'm sitting at the office, gotta go back to work. You got to figure out how to put $500 back in that account. And a gentleman off the street walks in, and he says, I need you to quote my insurance. He says, I saw you guys, and I've never been here before, and I just wanted to walk in. Do you guys do commercial insurance? Now, guys, I didn't sell a ton of commercial insurance. He says, I have this this construction company, and I'd love for you to quote it. And I said, okay, I can do that. I said, let me be honest with you. I said, there's going to be some coverages in here I don't know, so this is going to be a special treat. I'm going to bring on the underwriter, and we're going to be live with them right now while you sit in front of my desk, and we're going to quote this and make sure that it's done perfect. And so we do this. It took like an hour. And I was like, this great dude allowed me to go for an hour. He even just sitting there. It came to like $20,000, this policy premium. And I just sat there and I'm like jaw struck because I'm like selling home policies for like $500, auto policies for $1,000. Like, how am I going to pitch this one? I haven't done one of these before. Like this one's like, whoa, this is a big one. And I said, hey, so here's the price from this company, and you got everything explained to us by the underwriter, what cover, what's not. He says, okay, you know what? It has more coverage than I have on my current policy, and your price is actually quite a bit less. Let's go with it. And I was like, wait, what? He's like, let's go with it. You guys, that paid me 20%. I made $4,000 commission on that policy. It's the law of the harvest. You guys, we didn't have much, but we wanted to show God, even when we didn't have much, we were going to prove me like that I have an opportunity. The brother needed $500. We gave him the $500 and multiplied, and it came back at $4,000. That's the game changing moment, guys, that I would say is so many times we're focused on ourselves that we don't realize God has incredible children that we could be angels to right now. Like when people are saying, oh man, an angel came to my life, I would say 9 times out of 10, we are the angels. It's not things from the other side. It's us. It's us acting on intuition and promptings to bless someone's life. And when we do so, it comes back tenfold. Like he's the greatest business partner. All he asks for is 10% of my business, but somehow that 10% gives me a lot more than the 10% that I give back. He gives me a lot more. And so that's the secret sauce, if I can be completely candid with you.
Yeah, that's powerful. That is unbelievable. That story had $600, gave 500 away for a bike, and it comes back 8x, 80x, whatever the math is right now. But that's amazing, dude. That's so cool. And to be honest with you, you were kind of some of the reason we had success in the initial part, because you'd be putting out your dispo templates and scripts, and at that point I thought your name was actually Joe, to be quite honest with you, Cody. I had no idea.
Who's this Joe character?
Yeah, I was like, this is Joe Humbard. He's got this
buying
going on,
homes.
man. Yeah, he's perfect. But who do you see as like a perfect fit for your model, and for anybody who's looking to get a part of the franchises that you guys offer?
Such a great question. And that's part of the pivoting that is necessary for each one of you. Like you guys had your moment where you pivoted from wholesaling to raising capital. You had a pivoting moment, and that was something that you said, oh man, now we're doing what we want to do. That's awesome. We've had pivots within Joe Homebuyer. It used to be that as long as you fit culturally, meaning you fit our core 4 values of what we call the 4 H's: humble, heart for other, hunger, and honesty. Like those 4 H's, live by those core 4, and it's like, we can teach you real estate. What we failed to realize is there's a lot of psychology when it comes into business. There's a lot of people that come from corporate America, and they had bought a franchise, and maybe it's like, oh man, this is really hard. It's harder than I thought, and it wasn't the greatest fit. It would have been a better fit for like a wholesaling Inc. to coach them, right? Where they can coach them to do their first deal, and then from there scale. So our perfect fit is those that are already doing deals. It could be a handful of deals. Someone that's like, I believe it. I believe in me. I'm going to the casino of life and I'm going all in on me. Okay, let's couple that with Joe's process and system. Let's go. There's going to be some magic happening. So we don't take beginners. We don't take someone that hasn't done a deal. You need to go out and go do a handful of deals. And then we've had people come to us that are doing 600,000 already in revenue. We've had people come to us. We're talking to someone right now that's already doing 1.1 million. Brent Daniels, that now the owner of Wholesaling Inc. Brent Daniels is a franchise owner. Jerry Norton from Flipping Mastery owns 10 of them. And so people that are big names doing big deals are being part of Joe Homebuyer. And it's because there's something in common with each one of the people that join. Yes, they're coming in to buy in a process from Joe Homebuyer and a system that allows them to scale at a quicker pace than do it themselves. But something that also remains true that we look for in our avatar is that it's not just, what do I get? What do I get? What do I get? Each one of our franchise owners give just as much as they receive. And so it's, what can you bring to the Joe brand? What value can you bring? Are you committed to this community? That's a special community that we've built. And so there's more than just what we give. We're also asking for each person that wants to be a Joe, what are you going to give? So that this turns into something that's just momentum that no one can stop. You guys, there's so much data now that we have and own because we have 95 franchise owners across the nation, where we tap into like national data now that helps us pivot quicker than probably anyone out there, because it's no longer at a micro level where we're seeing one operation. We're seeing a ton of operations, and we're able to make pivots really quick on marketing, make pivots really quick on how we do our process with disposition, versus back in the day, you could just push out an email and 20 people came out to the appointment. It's completely different. The game's changed. And we knew about those changes 6 months prior to the change in the economy, when the rates went up and everyone froze with their money. We already knew about that 6 months prior. We were already working on the process so that when it happened, when the rates went up to 7-8%, we were already had been doing the new process for 6 months. When people started dropping off in their business, ours kept doing this because we knew how to pivot. We were able to see around the corner that most people couldn't see around. So that's the fun stuff we're doing. That's who we're looking for. And yeah, that's it.
Oh my God. I don't even know. I have so many notes over. I have like 6 pages already written over here that
Let's go.
I'm good.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
dude. I'm taking everything you're saying and writing it down.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. Well, you guys are doing great things though. How long have you been doing the podcast, for example?
About a year now, I'd say.
About a year. How many episodes in that year?
We're almost to our 100th in that
100th.
year. Yeah.
You guys, that is massive movement. Massive movement. Like, I love this. Like, if I almost sometimes when I come on as a guest, I'm like, gosh, I kind of want to recognize the host for a minute, because of such a value you play in people's lives. Most people don't even have the courage to talk on a mic. They just don't. They're like, oh, no one wants to hear from me. And they write these stories, and these stories create like this thought, right? This thought creates an emotion. The emotion then triggers the action. The action triggers the result. So many people in their wholesaling business, podcast world, capital raising world, wherever they're at, everything, guys, everything changes with a thought. It all starts with a thought. So when someone cuts you off, you can have a thought, man, that individual is a prick, right? You can have that thought, and many people have that thought, but that thought then leads to an emotion. The emotion is, dude, I'm fired up, I'm angry. That anger leads to an action. When I go up to that light, I'm going to lay on my horn, I'm going to flip them off, right? There's the action. What's the result that's going to come from that? It's going to be a negative result, all because of a negative thought that triggered a negative emotion. The negative emotion triggered a negative action. The action triggered the result. Isn't it also true that maybe that guy that cut me off needs to get home because maybe his daughter's choking and he needs to hurry and get her to the hospital? Think of that thought. It would trigger probably a different emotion, one of empathy and sympathy, saying, oh, he must be in a hurry. He probably needs to get somewhere really quick. There's probably something, probably an emergency going on in his life. Now I have empathy. Now I have sympathy. I pull up to the light. I just wave at him, say, hey, it's okay. I don't flip him off. I don't yell at him. And then my result is, oh my gosh, I'm still like calm and peace. And even though this guy's turned this way, I'm going straight. I'm like, I just feel so good. Like, it was so great. It all started with a thought. So that's where we got to get to the point. How do we just feed ourselves positive thoughts and act upon those positive thoughts, so that, because you can tell yourself all these stories of why I shouldn't do a podcast or why we shouldn't do this. No one's listening. No one cares about our podcast. Many do that, guys, but you haven't. Almost 100 episodes, because whatever story was happening, you just trained your brain to say, I don't care. I'm showing up. And when you show up, you make a difference. So I wanted to give you guys a second on your own podcast, why I'm grateful for you guys for showing up so that we could do this podcast.
Thank you so much,
We
Cody. That
appreciate
means
you.
the world. Yeah. I think we're those people that fail forward. You know, we take imperfect action every day. I have no problem coming on here and sound like an idiot, because to me it's just it's film, right? It's the game time decisions I'm making to say, okay, that didn't work. I sounded kind of crazy when I said that last time. Let's work on it. Let's get better. And that's something that Mike and I have taken very seriously. And to be honest, taking a page out of your notebook, like, we have to get better in every stage of this. It can't just be about the business. We have to get better in the podcasting too, because it allows people to tell their story.